We bring so many thoughts, so many questions to a text like this. Yet oftentimes, even when a preacher is preaching, we end up focusing on one particular thing, and I think it's helpful to have the community engagement, to think through these things together, and then also to step back and to give it a little context, and then to think through it again. So today's sermon is a little more didactic. It's a little more about teaching or coming to an understanding of this text. Granted, I will be the first to admit that I do not have all of the answers, not even close. But as we come to this 21st chapter in Luke, think with me for a moment about a particular community. In Israel, Palestine, in between 80 and 90 CE or AD, we have things that are happening, challenges that are taking place. Right around 69, 70 CE, we have the destruction of the temple of the people of Israel. We have the Roman Empire coming in and cracking the whip over those who are living there in that area because of the insurrections that have been mounted against their power. We have an empire that is beginning to fight wars on different fronts. We have people going hungry, struggling with putting food on their plates, struggling and caring for their family. And this text is coming at that point in time. Lord, why? They're looking at what is happening around them and struggling mightily, trying to figure out, what does this mean for them? They are trying so hard as people of faith to figure out why the temple has been destroyed, why their communities are being torn apart, why they are being left alone. We have people who are Christians who grew up Jewish, and they are telling their stories of their experience of Jesus. But within the empire and within Israel, Palestine, they are minorities. And there are those who are, in a sense, telling on them how they are not following either Jewish protocols and ways of life or those of the empire. It's a tough time. Then we come to this text and we wonder, is it so different today? Are there still not earthquakes and plagues in parts of our country or world? Are there not wars taking shape or being fought? Are people able to talk about their understanding of Jesus without fear of retaliation, without fear of offense, either here or abroad? The questions linger, and we still wonder, does it make sense? Or, very simply, what does this mean, and why? As was pointed out, Jesus doesn't give all the answers. We don't know exactly what the signs will be or how they will take shape. But the promise promise at the end is that we will have endurance, that God will hold our souls, give us our souls, not a hair on our head, will be our place. There's a sense of comfort and promise, but still the question lingers. How can we not be afraid? In the midst of the economy today, in the midst of having lost people to illness or to war, in the midst of destruction, name-calling, and divisions, we find ourselves again in this text. Are we willing to wrestle? To find our place? To speak a word of testimony or hope? Or will we be quieted, silenced? I would venture that today, in the economic reality, in the political dichotomy and name-calling, in the challenges that befall us, our voice is as needed as ever before, as people of faith. But to do so in a way that is thoughtful, that asks the questions, or makes the statements. I wonder why. Or I notice that, based in a tradition that allows for us to ask tough questions, to make astute observations, and to stand in faith. Thanks be